I'm here to listen. Why am I walking on this way?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Muse's AT Podcast, where you can relive my epic journey with me. This is Muse, and what follows is my Appalachian Trail story. And I'm here today with Hippie Chick and Poet, who run the epic Shaw's Hiker Hostel in Monson, Maine. Before we jump into the interview, Poet, I'm going to ask you a favor.
Sure.
The regular writing of haikus was an element of our respective thru hikes that we shared, and even if I'm not mistaken, the origin of both of our trail names. Here on the podcast, I often share a haiku early in the show. Can you honor us with today's haiku? And if you want to, you can give some explanation, but if it's one you'd rather just leave it with the 17 syllables, let them speak themselves, that's cool too.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. I'll just go ahead and give you the haiku that I give to the hikers at the trailhead every morning. It's the one that I wrote on my thru hike before I entered into the 100-mile wilderness. And it kind of captured the essence of what was going on in my hike, spiritually and literally. What's kind of funny is I literally wrote it because I was not filtering my water anymore. And I had a bunch of sludge in the bottom of my water bottle. And when I drank it down, I noticed that it didn't really matter anymore. But this is how it went further. So it's drink your deepest now, for the richest stuff settles in the final swig.
That sums it up.
Yeah,
I mean, most hikers really appreciate that. And quite often I'm sent an email that says, hey, can I get that haiku again? That really resonated with me as I went into the 100.
Yep.
And I can say firsthand how much that resonated with hikers because I knew exactly where you were going when you started talking. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remembered that one.
It's an awesome medium to work with. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. So first question, I know that the kids have some miles on them by now. So what are the kids' trail names and what are some of the coolest hikes that you guys have all done together?
Well, the funny thing about the trail names is we kind of change it whenever we hike it because they've changed so much.
Fair
When
enough.
we first bought the hostel, we only had Julia and she was just 2 years old. So we called her Little Chick since, hippie chick. So she was Little Chick around the hostel, but she let that go and named herself over the years different little things like Starshine but then when we've actually done some hiking with the kids, I feel like the first one they came up with trail names, we did the West Highland Way. And that was really their first hike that they completed a thru hike and came up with names. And basically, based on terrain, we called Julia Muddy Shoes because she just was, or Muddy Boots because the mud was just terrible. And it just seemed like she was just going to step right in and forget about it. And Finn was Highlander because he totally had to get up, out of the mud as much as possible.
Nice.
He did not want to get his shoes dirty. And I think Dad, of course, had a name like Sherpa because he was carrying everything. And so we like to change our names a little bit when we're on different trails. But I would say that was their first pretty good hike. And also the second one, well, 3 good hikes, I would say. The second one was we went to Japan and hiked the Kumano Kodo. And that one was a really had very rugged terrain, similar to Maine, actually. It was short, though. And Julia actually slipped and fell going downhill and broke her finger. She had a fracture and she still hiked the last 5 kilometers into the end with that. I mean, she didn't have too much of a choice, but she had a really good spirit. And I think we called her Little Bamboo
Okay.
Little bamboo.
because she was carrying a bamboo walking stick. And Finn was something like Dragon Spotter because he has an eagle eye for wildlife. I mean, he'll see something no one else sees and he'll just see every little lizard, and so he was mostly seeing lizards, but since it was Japan, we called them dragons. But the kids just completed the Portuguese Camino this April. We just got back from that before trail days. And that was pretty epic because that was their longest hike. It was almost 200 miles and got them pretty excited to hike the Appalachian Trail soon.
Awesome. Yeah, very cool. When do you guys start doing the Appalachian Trail thru hike as a family?
Well, we've had the hostel will be our 12th year. And as I said before, Julia was just 2 when we first bought the hostel. And now, we have Finn as well now. And it's always been sort of a dream of ours that we would hike the trail again as a family. And now Julia's 13 and, time flies. And before you know it, we'll only have one child in the house. So we're thinking that this is probably going to be the year. And so we're going to try to get a February start. We want to get started a little early to be back at the hostel, before things truly get busy. Plus, we'd also like to maybe stay behind the bubble a little bit or in front of the bubble. We'll see what happens with that. But we're just going to really look at the weather, though. So sometime in mid-February is what we're thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you're looking at 2027
We're
then.
looking at
Yeah.
2027. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Nice.
And if
Nice.
if the weather looks rotten or whatever, we might put it off a little bit. But if it's, we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, kind of primarily for Hippie Chick, but I want to get around to Poet's perspective on this one too. If I'm tracking correctly, Hippie Chick, you basically grew up around through hiking the Appalachian Trail, as your parents were the owners of the AT Lodge in Millinocket, and I met them on my hike as well.
Right.
What was that like? What were the highlights of that story? And then we'll come back around to Poet on that afterwards.
Sure. Well, we're kind of both connected on this story as well, Poet and me together, because I didn't actually grow up that way. My parents didn't know about the Appalachian Trail. My mother was interested in the Appalachian Trail, the epic hiking journey, and she'd been to Harper's Ferry to the headquarters and learned about it at one time. But my parents didn't really get into hiking the Appalachian Trail until Poet and I were married already. So Poet actually had a childhood friend who hiked the trail in, was it 87 or
I
89?
think it was 86.
86.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Okay.
a real good friend, family friend who inspired Poet. He always knew about the Appalachian Trail and also did a lot of backpacking growing up as an Eagle Scout. And it was actually that man, his trail name is Swamp Angel, who met my stepfather at our wedding and then inspired my stepfather to hike the trail. He's a disabled veteran, my stepfather, old man. So his inspiration, yeah, basically, interestingly enough, they started hiking together for practice hikes. My mom as well. They became very good friends with those hikers. And after my stepdad was on the trail for, well, he actually had a couple of attempts. He broke his ankle in the Smokies in 2002 and had to start again in '04, where he hiked most of it in one season and had to finish up the last bit in '06. But they decided that they wanted to have property. They were moving away from Florida anyway. They wanted to have property somewhere on the Appalachian Trail where they could always at least have a barn for hikers. And they ended up in Millinocket, Maine, and bought the Appalachian Trail Lodge in
That's
2006.
awesome.
So at that time, Poe and I had actually been married 6 years. And we were also like, wow, what are my parents doing? That's kind of interesting. So that brought my level of interest of the Appalachian Trail up to where Poet met Poet there. So
Yeah.
I am the one who sort of suggested that we do a hike in 2008. And so it really was kind of I'd say a surprise to him as well. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it didn't really wasn't one of our dreams, but it just seemed that's where the path was going. So that's why we decided to hike, was because my parents had a hostel in Maine and we just wanted to be a part of this cool experience they were doing. But no, I did not grow up hiking and I did not grow up around the Appalachian Trail. I learned about it through my husband.
Well, very cool. Yeah, yeah. You saw even the way I wrote up the question was assuming, hey, it was your parents and I'd met them and
Most
everything.
people
But
think that.
yeah, it actually happened at your wedding. So it was a combined story from the very beginning. So
Exactly.
that is very cool.
It is
Yeah,
exactly.
Poet, any more to fill in there?
No, she did really well. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just super stoked when she came in and she said, we should hike the Appalachian Trail. And I was like, you said it, sign right here. Let's go.
Right. Awesome. Excellent. And then about your 2008 through hike. Now, I think when we were talking around the haiku earlier, I was catching that, and you were kind of reminding me, I think you guys were northbound, weren't you?
That's right. Yeah.
That made sense in context of what you said earlier, but maybe give some highlights of the through hike in general. I think you kind of already probably talked about inspiration to hike, but anything else you kind of want to add there? Start and end dates, highlight for each of you.
You want to go?
Well, we started in April. We were both high school teachers at the time, so we did have to quit our jobs in order to hike the trail, though, sort of with somewhat of a blessing from our principal that she would rehire us. She understood what we wanted to do. And
Let's go. I quit to hike the trail too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's what you got to do. You got to take that leap of faith.
You should-
So we started at that point because of just 9 weeks sort of thing. We started April 7th and we had a good time, took our time, I'd say, and we summited October 12th. So we were some of the later people to come through. So it was pretty cold in Maine by the time we got, well, to the 100-mile wilderness for sure. But we had a beautiful summit day. I mean, you do get those really nice days in October. I mean, just couldn't have asked for a better day. Beautiful. But our hike, starting in April, which is completely different now. I'm nervous about a February start because I'm not really too into cold. But the April was a pretty good start time because at that point we were sort of behind the bubble, but we still had a little snow in the Smokies. But yeah, following spring had a beautiful hike. I mean, I think we really loved it, as many people do. You fall in love with all the beauty of North Carolina was very familiar to us. We'd been there a lot of times. And we had a lot of fun experiences. We actually did our whitewater rafting at the NOC on the Nantahala when we were
Cool.
there. We also, I don't know what else to say there. We loved the White Mountains. I mean, that was incredible.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
never seen terrain like that before in my life.
Yeah, we had great weather in the Whites.
Yeah.
You know, the Grayson Highlands.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed the ponies.
Yep,
You know,
that
it's
was
beautiful up there. The Smokies were amazing. Kind of socked in the whole time, but pretty epic in terms of like the feeling of being at a higher altitude and just kind of remote up there. And I like Georgia as well. I have really fond memories of Georgia because that's where it all started. You know, it's where you start to get your idea of what this is all about.
Yeah.
But when we got to Maine, we just felt like that's what we wanted the entire trail. And imagine that the entire trail what it would be like. It was more private. It was gorgeous. There was above tree line views, amazing lakes. And then when we hit up the 100-mile wilderness in October with those fall colors, everything was on fire. It was, yeah. I just get goosebumps thinking about it. You know, it was an amazing experience. It's kind of funny. I told somebody the other day, there are times on a hike when you are going to regret that you chose to do this because it's hard. You know, it rains, there's tough terrain, you can get a little miserable, you get really hungry. But when you get done with the hike, you look back on it as one of the fondest memories you'll ever have. And that's why we keep coming back, I think. So
yeah, I like the way you worded it. You said you will regret at times while you're hiking, you will regret that you started this, but when you finish, you will never regret that you did it.
that's right.
You will never regret it because there's just so much more. I mean, you're fulfilled. You're changed as a person in a positive way always.
Yeah, I'm gonna second that 100%. Absolutely. And yeah, there were those days. I'm with you on that. Like, why am I doing this again? But looking back,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we always say that one of the best parts of hiking is not hiking, but you have to hike first to know that. So it's perspective is the gift of life, to be able to have it. The down days that make the good days that much better. And
Mhm.
yeah, if you can hold on to it, if you can hold on a little bit longer, you know, you'll have an epic day that will completely balance your most miserable day.
Yeah.
It always happens that way.
yeah, and then some, right?
Oh
Right.
yeah, for sure. I think it's loaded on the more positive end for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah. It's gotta be.
All right, we're going to take a quick break to hear from the sponsors who help keep Muse's AT podcast on the trail. These are offerings that truly enhanced my thru-hike experience, so I'd really like you to check them out. Please look for and follow the links in the show notes to this episode. Looking forward to that lazy day on the couch, knocking down your Netflix queue and wondering what to wear? Quick answer, wear something else. Summit Ready Apparel is clothing built for those who scramble over jagged rocks, reach the peaks, and actually enjoy getting caught in a torrential downpour. If you're someone who doesn't mind the elements and has the grit to crush the next segment anyway, look no further than Summit Ready to match your restless trail spirit. Check out the catalog at summitreadyapparel.com and get ready for your next adventure. That's summitreadyapparel.com. Looking for your next great trail read? Walk Uphill is a powerful story about leaving the emptiness of modern corporate life behind and finding a completely new beginning on the Appalachian Trail. It's about discovering what life can look like when you embrace freedom, lighten your load, and take it step by relentless step. I actually read this book myself during a couple rest days in Gorham, New Hampshire, right after conquering the brutal terrain of southern Maine. I literally couldn't put it down. I read it from cover to cover in 2 days. The book chronicles the real-life events of the author, Bounce the Hiker, in a twisty, shocking, edge-of-your-seat story that even the most imaginative fiction writer couldn't make up. Just a quick content warning, there is definitely adult material in this book, so I wouldn't recommend buying it for your 10-year-old's birthday. But if you're looking for a gripping, raw trail adventure, I highly recommend Walk Uphill by Bounce the Hiker. You can find it easily on Amazon by searching Walk Uphill Book, or just click the direct link in the show notes of this episode. And then the decision then, after your thru hike, to become the third owners of Shaw's Hiker Hostel, one of the most famous on the trail. What went into this decision and what was that like? Any big surprises once you started operations?
Well, I was going to add to that when we were talking about us hiking the trail at all. I don't think that actually buying a hostel at that moment was really on our minds. We needed to get to work. We had to go back to our teaching jobs. But I feel like when you're hiking, or at least for us, a lot of the hostels that we stayed at were just just such a great part of our experience that we're both, being teachers, we like being around people, and we've both felt like, wow, wouldn't that be an interesting thing to do? Maybe one day, retirement or something like that. We really, with the teaching schedule, weren't even ever able to help my parents much. I mean, we went up there to the hostel to check it out, but they're not getting busy until we're already in school. So we didn't spend much time up there.
Yeah.
But that is how we found out that Shaw's was for sale, because my parents really love Shaw's. My stepfather was able to use Keith Shaw Sr. for his shuttle in the 100-mile wilderness. And so they had met them. And then over the years, though, after he passed away in '04, the new owners, my parents were also really close with the new owners, Dawn McPherson Allen. She was a retired school teacher as well, actually. So they had a close relationship. And so my stepdad really, again, loved Shaw's, and the idea that it was for sale, he had expressed some interest. And the owners really did not want it to go away from the hiking community. Dawn, she really wanted to make sure this still stayed in the
Yeah.
hiking community as opposed to just, a hotel for sale, for example. And so she was,
Yeah, can you even imagine if Shaw's was
I
taken
know,
away
what
from
would
the
really,
hikers,
what
right?
would be here?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, I do think it's a need for this section for sure. So those factors basically led to my parents having insider information, knowing that this was for sale and that they really wanted to sell and were really looking for a hiker. And it just came at the right time that we thought, hey, this is what we want to do. We'd actually, as I mentioned, we had our daughter who is 2 now. And so the idea of being close to my parents, they were now living in Maine for part of the year. We also understood it was a seasonal business, which was going to give us the opportunity that we wanted to live our life with our new child. That's one thing you learn from the trail is you want to balance that. I want to be living now, not waiting to live.
Yeah.
So we thought, well, let's try this hostel thing, because we've been teachers, I think Poet for about 13 years, myself about 7. And we thought, what are you going to lose? We can, in some ways, you can go back to being a teacher, but this opportunity may not come again. So we decided to, right then and there on a spur, kind of on a weekend, we decided to buy Shaw's, and we would be the next owners for the 2015 season. Yeah, we have not regretted that at all. It's been a wonderful decision that we made. We've had a great time here. I don't think we had too many expectations, so I can't think that anything was too surprising.
When you just
It
kind of
was,
go into it with an open mind, you can't be too surprised, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I would say Poet knew my stepfather, old man, had really, recommended a gear shop, and he had a small gear shop on his property already where he was selling some of the, Hyperlight made in Maine backpacks, and he also was selling ULA. And so he had a few things, but he thought that really 100-mile wilderness, after hiking that's where you need to have one. So right away, I mean, pretty much when we opened the doors, Poet already had a small collection, and then we saw the need right away. I mean, we were digging out our old gear. I sold the hip belt off my backpack, my old hiking poles. We were just giving things away, whatever we had, digging through to help people, because they're really, now there's more opportunities to ship things here perhaps, but really there's not a whole lot of stores nearby. I mean, even the big box stores in the bigger cities in Maine are closing down. There's just not much in the way of ultralight hiking gear, what the hikers are looking for. So we've got it. We've got shoes, we've got backpacks, we've got socks. Someone could come here to Poet's Gear Emporium and basically outfit, which, I mean, there are people that do that, but we mainly sell to the hikers. I mean, there are some
Yeah.
people in the state of Maine who see that we're a Hyperlight dealer or something and they can't get it online anymore. Do you happen to have this? But for the most part, we're here for the hikers.
Well, and I remember the Gear Emporium, and I was a little more minimal in what I switched out and everything, but I remember a lot of the Sobos that were with me switched literally like everything out when they got to Shaw's. They went through the 100 and they're like, I can't deal with this. And it's really always awesome. Poet your whole process around that and helping hikers through those decisions, because
Yeah.
I was tied to a lot of the things that I had. So for
Yeah.
me, it was more minimal, but you know, you were fine with that too. And you're like, okay, let's talk about the minimal things that you are going to switch out Joe. I was only Joe at the time yet. I wasn't Muse yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But for some people, they really are looking to like switch everything. Like, how does that whole thing work for you? I guess first, maybe even starting with, there may be some people on here that don't know what you do. So what do you do? But then
Yeah.
how do you guide people through that?
Yeah. So for starts, I mean, I think it really satisfies a part of me. Like I loved being a teacher, and I loved being able to to kind of talk things through with people and, with my students, and to be able to just be able to help people out. That really satisfies a side of a service oriented side of me, and a philosophical side of me, because that kind of ties in when you start talking about what you carry. There's a big part of that. And so basically, just it's ultimately the shakedown. We carry our fears. The more you learn, the more you realize how little you need. Having some of the specialty gear that can help shed weight, because every extra pound, every extra ounce that you carry is one more bit of weight that's going to push you into a mistake. That whole mindset of developing into a hiker that is more comfortable moving down the trail rather than just being comfortable in camp, and
Yeah.
when you're hiking the Appalachian Trail, there's a lot of moving down the trail, It's
You
like-
have to be comfortable walking, because you're not just walking to the next camp. You're spending most of your time walking.
You're walking
So I just like
2,200
to sit-
miles.
Yeah.
I like to sit down. Sometimes we'll just pick a person whose pack is kind of, they've got it maxed out, and we'll just do a pack explosion or a yard sale out on the lawn or in the gear shop, and just kind of start looking at each thing and having a discussion about it. And there's a lot of times these moments of revelation where the person says, well, this is I want to carry this, like this this K-bar knife, or whatever. And they're like, I had that in the service. I want to carry that. And I was like, you just told me you were trying to hike that off.
Yeah.
And they were like, damn, yeah, I'm trying to hike that off. There's a lot of other things, it's just kind of learning how to let go of your fears and what you just said, going into something with that expectation. You want to be safe, but you also want to be able to go into something free. Sometimes I just take a person's pack and I'll pull it all open and I'll say, I'm just going to do this where I make two piles. Here's the pile I would take, and here's the pile I would leave behind. You can put anything back in there that you want to, but I want you to see what this feels like without all that excess. And when they put it on, they're like, yeah, that feels really good. And I'm like, now think about that at the end of about a 15-mile day. It's going to feel a lot better then too. Yeah. So that's part of it. It's really satisfying for me to get 5 pounds. I mean, just a pound off of a person's pack, but sometimes, I mean, it's 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's at least 5. If people that are really, if they're asking for this shakedown, it typically means they know that they just have too much. And so they're actually usually pretty surprised themselves that you were able to get 5 pounds off, if it's not more than that.
Yeah.
But sometimes, there's definitely a 10 to 15 pound person, but that's because of just all the gear, just some of the gear can be really heavy, including the backpack. But yeah.
It would just help to have another person's perspective.
And then the most satisfying, though, has to be when you get that phone call in October or November from a southbounder that just says, hi,
Yeah.
just calling to say that I'm still on the trail, and it's because of Poet, and it's because of you guys, and thanks for helping me out, and thanks for, sometimes it's just a confidence booster.
Yeah. And the gear held up. Everything worked.
Yeah.
It made the journey that, like,
Yeah.
that we really try to curate a selection of gear here that is meant to do what the thru-hiker is about.
Right. Right.
Yeah, you guys put a lot into that. Just having the stuff there at the shop, that is the stuff that the hikers are going to need.
Yeah.
You're not selling fluff, right? So it's good. Go into a little bit how you research gear and stuff.
You know what I was just about to say?
Hiker led, yeah.
That the northbounders come in and they're like, you need to get this.
This is what you're missing.
This is what I would, if you had this right now, I'd get this. I got this CNOC bag down south. I've used it the entire trail. It's one of my favorite pieces of gear.
Yeah.
So just being,
Direct
I think
market
in
research
every
there.
retail business, just listen to your customer. If you listen to your customer,
Yeah.
get what they're looking for.
Right.
That's
Right.
And then sometimes I have to make a preemptive strike, and like look on the internet for the next year coming up. Like, are there things that are phasing out?
Yeah.
Are there new things
Yeah.
that might be better? I don't want to order a whole bunch of something that like, oh, that was so last year. So that with a lot of this hiking gear that's cottage made or a garage created and cottage industry stuff, they only do small batches and somebody's going to eventually call and be like, hey, that print, I'm
Do
looking
you
for
still
that.
have,
You still
yeah, we were like, oh, we do actually. So that is one thing. Yeah.
with shoes, like I remember the Olympic shoes were a crazy thing to add to the gear shop because of inventory. But every once in a while, you'll have somebody come up and be like, "Do you have any of the Olympus 4 in like size whatever?" I'm like, "I
We
do."
actually still
That's
do.
awesome.
They're like, "I don't care what color they are, send them my way."
Mm-hmm.
So no, I'm
Yeah.
gonna say this right now, and it's gonna go out there, and I'm gonna get a bunch of calls. I don't have any more Olympus 4s left; they're all gone.
Well, I remember my shakedown and a couple notes on that. Yes, I probably should have sent the harmonica home. I barely ever played it.
Oh, okay.
That was one where I was like, no, that's important to me. I'm carrying it. And you were like, yeah, fair enough, but I probably should have sent that home. But one of the most helpful things, well, definitely the most helpful thing that you did for me, Poet, was I was carrying my tent off the back of my backpack.
Yeah.
And you were like,
Mhm.
center of gravity, you're expending so much extra energy.
Yeah.
Stuff that in the bottom of your backpack.
Yeah.
And the difference that made was phenomenal.
That's a great point. Didn't even think about that till you just said it. But yes, a lot of hikers will come in and they just maybe they look wonky, like you're like, whoa, that's not even right, or whatever. But it's like, hey, one really good skill Poet has is to pack the pack. Let me show you how to actually pack the pack as well as make adjustments. And then suddenly your own pack is fitting you better, your weight is carrying better.
Yeah.
So that's also a skill that no one that you don't know until you start. But yeah, you feel something weird or it's off balance and and everything is
High and tight is the way. And that's something we have a lot of hikers come in and they're just kind of like, funds wise, I've got what I've got. This is what I need to hike with. But can you look at my pack? Can you make an adjustment? And that really works. Reset, because you can make adjustments on the sizing of the pack. They've got it sometimes for a torso for their little brother and they never change that. And then they get all that weight, all this hanging off the back, and get all the danglers and put them on the inside. And yeah, that makes a difference. Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it was definitely how the pack was packed. And I got a good lesson on that in Millinocket.
Yeah.
Went through the wilderness and got the 200 level course there at Shaw's.
That's right. Dude, the wilderness is the great teacher. If people, I think in Millinocket, there's a lot of seeds that are planted by very experienced hikers. They go through and kind of help guide the southbounders and put some ideas in their head. And then I think a lot of people, I'm the same way. I have to try it out. Seeing is believing, right? You get through the 100-mile wilderness, and you're like, okay, that made sense. You hear it one more time, and you're like, I'm ready to make
well,
that
you
change.
really learn something when you apply it, right?
Yeah, right.
That's right.
Exactly.
So much.
So what would you say, kind of just list of the services that Shaw's offers? We were talking a lot about the Gear Emporium there, but you guys do a lot of different things, including run people to Bangor, as we found out when I was there. But
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's not any other public transportation in the area, so we definitely offer shuttle service to the airport. Bangor's the closest one. And then, as the hiking every year, I was just going to say it grows a bit, the amount of people coming out to just it grows in popularity. I think that's what I was trying to say. As the 100-mile wilderness has grown in popularity as a section, as a destination, as people hear about it, whether you're a college student from Vermont or you're someone local that lives in Maine that is out day hiking, you're like, oh, the 100-mile wilderness is something to tackle. That sounds cool. So we do a lot of shuttling for people that are just doing the 100-mile wilderness. Pick them up at A-Ball Bridge or offer food drops. We can do 2 food drops. We can slack pack almost the whole 100 actually. So we do services like that, slack packing.
My buddy Fernando last year, I think he worked with you guys, and that's how he did he was just doing the 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of people come out and just do the 100 and have a wonderful time. And it just kind of the first seed for maybe hiking a long distance trail. But yeah, the 100-mile wilderness in itself is a really fun hike. It's definitely a conquest, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Obviously, we've got lodging for people. We do tenting, and we've got bunks, and we've got private rooms. We've got rooms. We've got small bunk rooms. We've got rooms for 3 people. We cook breakfast in the morning.
Yeah, we do a big traditional breakfast every day that's been going on since the Shaws started that in the 70s with hearty eggs, bacon, home fries, blueberry pancakes. So we do a great breakfast every day. We do a lot of grilling burgers for hikers during the summer, especially we do like a Trail Magic Monday where we're doing grilling food. We've had some other trail angels or stops a lot. You know, when the bubble gets here, he'll come and do a Trail Magic Monday for us as well. Basically, we just have we want it to feel like a home here. We have a nice green lawn, and like Poet was saying, hikers can set up their tent in the yard if they want a tent, but also just to dry out your tent or
All their
to,
gear out in the yard.
we have laundry here. We just have where the hikers can just come out and feels like home. Of course, there's catch up on writing. We have a lounge with musical instruments. We have a fire pit. It's
Yeah.
just a comfortable place to be. We have a hiker box. People can throw their
Yeah.
discarded gear in there. I mean,
And then also in the hiker lounge, we've added a freezer with burritos and hot
I
pockets
was here
and
when you
ice
guys
cream
added
sandwiches.
that. I was there when you
yeah,
guys
just
added
to
that.
give,
Yeah.
Popular, because people come in late sometimes and they just want to eat.
gas station actually closes at 9. So yeah, there's not much in town. So yeah, we decided to add that for some midnight snacks.
And on top of gear in the gear shop, we have a really well curated resupply for northbounders and southbounders. So we carry Peak Refuel, Good to Go, Green Belly, Pro Bar, and I mean a lot. And then we also have mashed potatoes, peanut butter, and we try to get the right kind of stuff that people are looking for, like the squeezed peanut
Yeah.
butters and dehydrated hummus and dehydrated refried beans and
Yep.
things that we like to eat when we're hiking. And it's nice to be able to go into a spot. It's overwhelming sometimes to go to a grocery store and have to
And try to
choose.
pick out pick out the hiker food. So for the most part, we've got a pretty dialed in resupply.
Mhm.
Easily the best resupply on trail.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Thanks.
Easily.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. We want to keep making it even better. So again, anybody who has suggestions, we just listen. you
Yeah,
know.
let us know.
Try to help
Yeah.
our vegan friends out. Try to have something for everybody.
Muse here. Just a quick note to ask you for a favor. If you are enjoying what you're hearing, please tell a friend. I'd love to get this story out to as many people as possible. Hopefully it finds just the right set of ears and inspires someone to get out and hit the trail. Of course, if you do see something that could be improved, please let me know. Thank you for walking with me, and happy trails. Hey everyone. This is the part of the episode between the entry and the commentary, where as the podcast develops, I'll drop in an ad or two to get the bills paid. Nothing too intrusive, hopefully, and maybe if we're lucky, we'll pick up some trail-related sponsors. At this point, though, I thought I'd write an ad of my own and read it out. What I'm selling today is simply a plea to get in touch with me. I'll say it in the body of some of the episodes, but probably sometimes I won't. But I really do want to connect. Not only would I love feedback, truly, and am itching to field a question or two, but I also would love to hear your trail stories. This podcast is my way, post-trail, of connecting back with the AT community. Whether you're reliving past glory like I am on this show, prepping for an upcoming hike, or maybe you're on the trail here in 2026, or maybe you're just someone who likes hiking content or in particular the Appalachian Trail, whatever brings you here, I'd love to get to know you. So reach out on Instagram by following Muse Hikes, or email me at museatpodcast@gmail.com. Or another cool way to get in touch, and I'll start getting back to checking this regularly, is to drop a note in my trail journal if you click through to that. The trail journal has pictures with each journal entry, and sometimes I'll refer directly to the picture in the entry as I read it out, so you might want to see that. And I'll also share some photos on that Instagram account as well. There are links to the Instagram profile, the email, and the trail journal in the show notes to each episode. Whichever way you decide to reach out, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And now, back to the show. Nice. What about like roles and responsibilities? I've noticed even between the two of you, like Poet's got his poet things, Hippie Chick's got her hippie chick things, but I don't know exactly what those things exactly are. And then of course you've got the staff who all have their roles and everything. As much as you want to, go into kind of division of responsibility. How's the hostel run?
Well, Poet cooks breakfast every day. I'll give him that. He gets up first. I go to bed last, so therefore, if there's something late that comes in, I typically am the one that's answering the phone after 9 o'clock. Though we would prefer people not to call after 8 o'clock. But no, if the phone rings or if someone has to get in late, I'm usually the one that greets them because Poet does get up early to do the breakfast. So he definitely does breakfast and takes hikers to the trail. And those are his things he enjoys doing. I'm more of the one that's got to get our day organized. So I'm the one who organizes the shuttles and the food drops for the day. And as far as everyone else, we kind of do everything together. The staff, we serve the breakfast. We're going to flip the rooms. We're going to talk to our guests. Of course, we're going to help them. We have gear shop hours. So there's always, besides Poet and myself, there's usually one or two other people in here just to answer questions and help checking people out, but ringing up or answering any questions about shoes. And mostly usually it's always through hikers that work with us. That's helpful because they have their experiences to share. They're just as much as an expert on hiking as we are because we've hiked the trail one time and so have they. And actually for them, it's more recent. So Trippy and Cooper worked for us last year. They're working for us again this year. And in the winter, they hiked the Florida Trail. So they have even more stories to bring this year.
Cooper's who picked me up from the wilderness last year.
Oh, cool.
And he was so excited. It was great. I was like, wow, all right. We're celebrating, and we should have been, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's it.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. They both have great energy, and usually that's what you get when you hire through hikers because they want to give back to the trail community. They want to, we all love hikers. That's the point. And you want to be here.
With shuttling too, we all do shuttling, and our main shuttler, Mike, he just came in. I saw this year he got one of those big anchor chargers, or it might have been a Jackery, I don't know, so he can have that ready to take out to the hikers in the 100 miles when he does food drops, so they can charge their phone while he's out there. Just again, they're thinking of ways to
improve the hiker experience for the hiker, and so that's just, we couldn't feel more grateful to have people that want to be a part of Shaw's, but are here for the hiker because that's what we feel like. We feel like this is a service-oriented job because we love being a part of the journey. We love helping hikers, and that's what they do too. So as far as responsibilities, though, everybody kind of knows what's going on. It's just more like I said, the organization has to kind of all those emails and things like that. But everything else, I think we all just work together to make it happen.
Yeah. Well, and even down to sage advice, one of the things, and I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to Haley's interview, but Haley interviewed on the podcast, and that's going to be episode.
Cool.
Actually, no, you haven't had a chance because as we're talking, it actually drops tomorrow. So there's no way you've had a chance.
Nice.
It's not even out there yet.
Check that out.
But
okay,
when you get a chance, if you want to zero in on one of them, listen to that. You'll basically hear her personal thank you for the support that she got in discerning, stay on trail, leave the trail. And that was huge for her. It really put her in a spot where she did ultimately end up leaving the trail, but she still saw her hike as a huge triumph because it was, right? And you guys really set that up.
We just said that's what a lot of people come on leave to do that.
Exactly.
And that might be enough,
When people say, "Oh, I just did the 100-mile wilderness," I'm like, "That's not a just."
Yeah.
There's no just about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys you said you're starting your 12th season. I was there for I thought it was the 10th anniversary. It might have been the 11th.
It was our 10th anniversary celebration. We weren't sure how exactly to do it. Yes, it was the 11th year, but now we've completed 10 years.
Okay. That makes sense.
Year we did have our
the puzzle pieces are fitting together now.
That's what I thought, but yeah. But so even though it's 12, we don't want to jinx anything. Even though it's now 12, we're going into it was we could really celebrate 10 years last year. But I'm glad you're at the party. We had a fun time.
Well, and that's how numbers work, right? Like it's the 12th, so 11 are complete. Right? Yeah.
Yes.
I get it.
That's correct.
Okay.
So that was cool. Now going into season 12, what are some of the things that are different than season 1, 2015?
Well, we certainly have more of an idea what's going on. We have more expectations, not expectations in a negative way. We just know what to expect as far as the amount of people that could come through, problems that ultimately will happen. But I think with that also comes confidence. We've seen it all. We've woke up in the morning and had no propane. because we got a new propane dryer and they didn't realize to keep up with our propane. So that meant no breakfast. We don't have,
No, we did breakfast.
we did. That's what I was going to say. Go ahead.
I cooked pancakes on the grill.
Yeah, we ended up having to use our outside grill.
The show
and
must go
over next
on,
door
right?
The kitchen. The show must go
Oh,
on.
absolutely.
So, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Knock on wood. We've seen a lot happen and just roll with the punches. We just go with the flow. So, I mean, as far as year 12 to year 2, there was also a time when I had a newborn. I think that was year 3. So now my kids are a bit more grown. That's helpful. And yeah, I think we just know that you mentioned what our specific roles are. And the reason there's not too much, it's not too set in stone anything is because if someone has to be gone, we can all take over. And that's just how it has to be. So therefore, yeah, we just pretty much take it as it comes every year. And I think we just grow in probably.
And there's always surprises. We just don't know what's going to happen with the weather ever. And I think you might have
Yeah.
had to experience some of those high fords that
Yep.
happen in the 100-mile wilderness as a result of rain.
Well, actually,
So-
I was slightly before that. We were in a drought,
Oh,
so it
okay.
was like not even ankle deep
wow.
for me.
Wow.
And I got to experience you guys getting calls left and right to go bail people out. So maybe talk to that a little bit because you
Okay,
guys were
right.
busy that
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When that goes down,
That's
it's
tough.
all
That is tough.
hands on deck, communicating with people who have sketchy signals to try and console them and let them know that we can get to them, and to
Mhm.
let them know, do not try to ford that.
Mhm.
That is,
Mhm.
sit tight. We'll get to you. Then, because it can be dangerous when that rain comes down. I don't know how many inches it was, but it was a real heavy storm that one night. And
Well, we had 2023, it actually rained the entire summer. So that was the worst year that we've experienced as far as us, certainly the flooding, because it started, I believe there were all but 2 days in the entire month of June it rained. All but 2. July was very similar, maybe 5 out of 7 days a week it rained. August started to get a little less, but they had the worst. I mean, by the time the fall came, they had
Yeah,
cities that were
wow.
flooded from the rivers because everything was so high. So that was such a tough year. They had to reroute the entire year. Hikers had to walk on the roads in a couple different places in the 100. So we were again ready for that. So last year, luckily, it only happened in June. We had those high rains, but yeah, that's the hardest part is, the service in the 100 and trying to figure out where people are to pull them out for whatever reason and to communicate the danger if there is danger as far as like the fords.
and
Because
working with Wendy at the AT Visitor Center has been tremendous success.
yeah.
And educating hikers
Mhm.
moving south about how trail etiquette, as well as helping people know how to handle those fords, and
Mhm.
getting the word out there. So
Mhm.
that's something that this year we've learned over the past years. That something new. And yeah, I say with the numbers of people too, that educating people about trail etiquette is very important to also, because we want to make sure that we treat this trail with
Yeah.
as much respect as we possibly can. That's there's a huge community out there. There's so many cool hostels. There's so many neat things that you can get along the Appalachian Trail, but without the Appalachian Trail, it's
Yeah.
that's the lifeline.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that's the heart of it all. So.
Well, and there's definitely a good shout out there. Like when you are staying at Shaw's, take a trip down the road and go to the ATC.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Definitely.
I'm so glad that I did that. That was a great, and what was it? 20 minutes out of my day when I was kind of just
Right.
chilling anyway, right? Like
Yeah.
there was no
Yeah.
imposition to do it, but it was definitely worth my while to do it.
Yeah.
Valuable information.
Yeah.
Very valuable information.
And when I left Shaw's, when I left Monson, I did have to deal with the waters because I was there when it happened, and I left there with a ready plan. Like Poet, you
Yeah.
had showed me on Far Out. First of all,
Sure.
configure Far Out this way, and then take the trail here, but then take this road, and
Yes.
and it was great.
Yeah. Yeah, when the fords are that high, reroutes are sanctioned. So because it is completely unsafe to go across them, so we know of some of the ways to kind of move around in a safe way. And that's a nice. Thank you for mentioning that as well. We want people to be safe. You gotta have
Yeah.
a good time, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to have a good time if you're like in a hospital somewhere, right? Like,
That's
so
right. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
safety
Right.
goes
Floating
into
down a
having a good
river.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what are some of the funniest trail stories that you guys have? Because you guys have to have some whoppers.
Jeez. We do have some good ones. Let's see. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Oh, I got one. Yeah. So we had a resident skunk that lived near the hostel one fall. And the skunk was going into people's tents, going under their vestibule. And if they had left pizza under the vestibule or anything like that, the skunk was getting it. So imagine waking up and you hear something munching on your, they're like, "What is that?" You turn to look at it and you're like, "Nobody move." There's a skunk under the vestibule. You don't want to irritate it. So that kind of came up and we heard about it and we were like, well, it'll maybe eventually move us away. I trapped one and released it out in the 100-mile wilderness. But one day I got up in the morning and a person came out of one of our
Yeah.
downstairs rooms and said the skunk walked in the middle of the night because we leave the door open all the time, walked right through the lounge, right through the kitchen, right out through some of the rooms and right out the other side. So
She thought it was a cat. She woke up and didn't realize there was a cat in the hostel. And
that was like 3 or 4 years ago. But I guess the scent, maybe they were,
I don't know.
maybe it was familiar. No,
Yeah.
I'm
I guess
just
so.
kidding.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Mistaken for a cat. That reminds me of like the Pepe Le Pew cartoons, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So she thought it was a cat. Yeah.
That's funny.
And I think that I should probably write them down because there are so many funny stories that come up. But I just, for some reason, I can't think of anything off of the top of my head right now. We don't really have much of a bear issue up here because usually there's some funny stories that have to do with bears, but they're still hunted in the area. So the 100-mile wilderness and around this area, you don't really see many of them getting into anybody's stuff. I mean, I've heard stories down the trail of people waking up and a bear was licking the bottom of their foot, but that was south.
That'd be a quick wake up. You'd be awake.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And they thought it was the guy that was sleeping beside him, but I guess it was a bear.
Well, anything else that you guys would like to say to the listeners? Now, these listeners, they could be past thru hikers, prospective thru hikers, or folks out on the trail right now. Any just sort of, well, I guess anything you'd like to say.
Thank you for, being a part of this community. Thank you for hiking the trail and just remember to always appreciate what a unique microcosm this little world is. It came to a point sometime through the hiker seasons that I sat down and I thought, there's nothing that I can think of that I'd rather be doing, and there's not another group of people that I'd rather be spending so much of my life around. And I also wanted to say that I really appreciate you, Muse, and what you're doing right now. I think it's really cool to be able to reflect on your hike and the way that you're doing it, and to also share that with other people. And you've definitely got the spirit of what hiking is all about in your podcast. So this cool what you're doing as well.
I appreciate
so
that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll just add that, keep on keeping on. And that, we always say, never quit when it's raining. Don't quit. You don't have to quit. You can actually just take a break. You can actually just take 2 zeros or 3 zeros and think about it, before you say you're quitting. Get back out there and do it on a good day when you're feeling good. Say, yeah, I've had enough or not. But I think just one foot in front of the other will get you there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you both for being on the podcast. You guys are absolute legends on trail. It's such an honor to have you on the show. For listeners, I usually try to remind them where we are in the narrative before we jump in. So next episode, we will be leaving the 100 and arriving at Shaw's. Until then, this has been Muse.
And Hippie Chick.
And Poet.
And you've been listening to Muse's AT Podcast. Thank you for walking with me, and happy trails.
Happy trails.
I'm here